Yeah.
She said I got rid of everything. I need some more control. I fell down a hole. He could not care less about a minimalistic.
Good morning. We're at the Drago train station in the neighborhood of Villa, and we're on our way to go spend the weekend on an island in the Paraná River Delta.
Beyond my own. I've just got this feeling.
So our first leg of the journey is to take a commuter rail from this station here out to Escobar, which is a small town in the Buenos Aires province. And from there, we're going to take a boat out into the Delta.
He could tell something was up by the way she was on the ceiling.
Encargaron que ustedes en comercios hoy por hoy abonan alrededor de 100, 120 pesos la unidad. Hoy acá en el tren te vas a llevar 2 unidades, 2 tarjetas.
Not sure what you're looking for. Search for another life. Not sure what you're looking for. Search for another life. Search for another life. Not sure what you're looking for.
All right, we've got to make our way down to the port now so we can catch our boat out to the Delta. We're going to look for a taxi. So this is the Rio Paraná de las Pampas, which is a branch of the Rio Paraná. This river, along with several others and canals and a huge expanse of wetlands, makes up the Paraná River Delta. The Paraná River Delta covers an area of 5,400 square miles. It's about 200 miles long and between 11 and 37 miles wide, making it the second largest in the Americas behind the Amazon. It's about 10% bigger than the Mississippi River Delta. The entire river basin drains an area of more than 1 million square miles that includes all of Uruguay and Paraguay and huge parts of Argentina and Brazil. In total, 25% of South America drains into this river basin, and it serves as a principal recharge zone for the very important Guarani Aquifer. It supplies drinking water to more than 12 million people in this part of South America. The Guarani Aquifer is so large, they say it could supply fresh drinking water for the entire human population for the next 1,600 years. What we're going to do is we're going to wait for our boat to come in right here. It's going to take us about an hour out into the Delta where we rented our house. So the Paraná River Delta is quite conveniently divided into 3 sections: the upper, the middle, and the lower section. The lower section being the one closest to Buenos Aires. Now as the crow flies, the closest part of the lower section is actually only about 10 miles from my apartment in the city. And the delta is getting closer and closer to Buenos Aires every day. Deltas are formed as they approach another body of water and slow down. The suspended sediment that had been traveling in the river water suddenly falls as the water slows. Over the course of thousands of years, that falling sediment eventually forms islands. And those islands split the main river into smaller branches and canals, and a vast fertile ecosystem is formed. Like every other delta in the world, the Delta Paraná is advancing. It's advancing at a rate of as much as 100 meters per year. This graphic shows how the delta has advanced over the last 220 years, and you can see how it's crept down the shoreline getting closer to the city. That means by the year 2100, we could have islands off the coast of Buenos Aires. So the result of this natural process is that new islands are formed all the time, and the islands that exist get bigger and bigger, and people lay claim to these new lands, and that creates conflicts with local municipalities. When a new island pops up, who owns it? Or if an island you own expands each year, is all that new land yours? These questions are being answered in real time in the lower section of the Paraná Delta. As new islands form, enterprising locals have built docks and marked off building lots. The local municipalities claim that the new land belongs to the towns and have very recently torn down those docks. But the conflict continues to play out as the Paraná River drags sediment from northern Argentina and southern Brazil and deposits it here in the Delta. Okay, that's it for tonight. We're going to do some stargazing here before hitting the sack, getting up early tomorrow, because we're going to visit a bakery that has been working on this island for the last 100 years. So we'll see you then. Good night. Good morning. We're up this morning waiting for the grocery boat to come by. We spoke with our neighbor last night, and she told us to be out here on the dock between 9 and 11 this morning to wait for the boat to come by. It's a boat that comes by 3 times a week, and it's how everyone here on the island gets their groceries. So, now we wait.
Papas,
Oh, yeah, 1 kilo de papa.
fideos,
Y un paquete de fideos. Eso es lo que te cansan. Uno. ¿Qué más, chicos?
Reposo, mamá.
Reposo.
¿Sí está bien, no?
Eso, sí, un chiquito. Buenísimo. Y un par de zanahorias. ¿Qué más, chicos? A ver. Sí.
Cuadril.
Sí.
El pollo.
Ok. Oh, yeah. Dale. Oh, yeah, we got bread.
oh yeah! Sandwiches like brains.
Ciao, man. A reality of daily life in the Delta is the changing of the water levels in the rivers and canals, and it can change quite dramatically within a 24-hour period. Right now, we're here, and it is actually really low, the water, which is a great chance for us to see the exposed bank and how extreme the change in water level can actually be, right? So when the water is this low, it's actually a real problem for getting around, right? So some of these rivers and canals might become impassable because the water level is so low, so the grocery boat that we saw this morning can't get through and has to take a long way around. You might be allowed to visit people. You might actually be sort of locked into your property, I suppose, if the water level gets really low and you can't get out, right? So then you have to wait for the water to rise to be able to get out. Equally problematic, and something that all people who live in the Delta have to prepare for, is when the water level rises a lot and the entire yard gets flooded, right? So you can see all of this here could very easily be underwater at any time. And the houses are all up on stilts like this. The delta claims a unique climatic phenomenon called a sudestada, which would roughly translate to southeasterly. What happens is this: the winds suddenly shift to the southeast, bringing humidity from the ocean, heavy rains, and rough seas to the delta. And a sudestada causes flooding in the delta because the winds push against the current of the Rio de la Plata, pushing the water back upstream. So as the Paraná River continues to flow downstream and the sudestada is pushing the water upstream from the Rio de la Plata, quite literally the water piles up and floods the region. Now, sudestadas are unique to the Paraná Delta, and any resident of the Delta is well aware of when a sudestada and its heavy winds, the rain, the flooding, when it's coming, and they plan much of their lives around it. As I was wandering around last night looking for a place where you could supposedly buy some beer, this really nice woman came out and greeted me. And we chatted for a while, and she invited me to come back today to have a beer with her and her family. So that's where we're headed. And I believe down this path we're also going to find that bakery, that 100-year-old bakery that I'd really like to find.